Right, we're back in the car for another video of very subjective information and thoughts. So yeah, you can't take ownership of a new car and not do a 5 things I like and dislike video. What is this, amateur hour? Oh, I've got to do that. So yeah, I tried to come up with 5, but I've got 7 of each actually, and like, none of these are deal breakers, to be honest. Like the dislikes, the likes are just very minor things as well. I have to bear in mind I've only had the car for a week, so these are sort of first impression likes and dislikes. After I've had the car for a lot longer, they'll change. Very subjective. Some things that I like, other people might dislike, and vice versa. It's okay. Right? We're all grown-ups here. That's okay. So right, let's start with the things that I like. And the first thing that I've wrote down is very bizarre. I've never seen this on anyone's like and dislike list. And by the way, none of these things are going to be like, oh, I like the way the car drives and handles and looks. Obviously, that's why I bought it, man. So they're going to be a bit more granular than that. So the first one that jumped out is the ventilation system in here is actually really good compared to cars that I've had in the past. Like you turn the heaters on and it's like a chasm opens up and it just bellows air at you. It's just like the airflow is really good. But also I really appreciate how fast a lot of the systems enable. So like you turn on the heated steering wheel and it heats up like within a minute. It's really good, works really quickly. Same with the heaters and the seats, they heat up really fast, so I appreciate that. That's one of my first likes. Right, the second one is the iDrive system. So I've got some complaints about it, but generally the iDrive system is really good. It's phenomenal. It's got some really nice features in it, like the adaptive drive content where you can see the car in real time, like a digital twin. Brake lights come on when you brake and indicators, the wheels turn as you turn. So distracting, but it's a really cool feature. So I like that. And generally, like overall as a package, it's almost just as good as Android Auto, right? You've just got everything in there that you need. Sat nav's pretty good. It would be nice to have the 3D sort of satellite imagery map, but I can't figure that out without using Android Auto. Alright, the third one, speaking of the sat nav, I really like that augmented reality sat nav. I had no idea this car had that before I bought it, but there's a camera behind the wing mirror. I asked the dealership what the hell that was. Augmented sat nav. I was like, the what? How do you even turn that on? There's nothing in the menus for it. But it just automatically enables itself when you're doing route guidance. It would be nice to be able to have that on without having a destination plugged in, but it's really, the camera quality is phenomenal. Superb definition. Right, the fourth like is, I guess, yeah, this is more of, I guess this is a way the car drives sort of thing, but it's valid. The fact that this car can be driven in either a stealth mode or a loud mode, I really appreciate that, because there's some days where you just don't want racket. You just want to chill, you just want to toot around with a bit of peace and quiet, and you can absolutely do that in this car. But then when you want to go a bit mental, if there's like, I don't know, you want to get someone's attention with your car, because we're like that, you can turn on the noise just with the push of a button. Like number 5 is the comfort access, which is obviously, some of these things are not new. These have been in cars for ages. But let's just stop driving so I can do this whilst I'm tooting around. But yeah, like I've got a history, and it's an absolute me problem, of parking up outside my house and walking into the house without locking the car. I've done it for years. Originally, I thought that it was a car problem. Originally, I was like, I'm pressing the button, man! I'm pressing it and it's not locking. But it's happened across that many cars. Clearly, I am the problem. And my car has been previously broke, not this one, but my M4 was, can I even call it broken into when the guy just opened the door and had a rummage around? But that's happened before, and I'd like to say I learned my lesson, but I didn't. I continued to leave the car unlocked overnight. So I appreciate this having the feature of just locking itself as you walk away with the digital key. I appreciate that. That helps me out. It's just to get minor quality of life benefit, but nothing new. But I'm glad that this car's got that, because that directly helps me out. Right, so that's the comfort access. Really like that. It would be nice if it had like the boot access, but again, I think that's where they start cutting corners and cost cutting on the 2 Series, is to not step on the toes of the higher models. Things like the push button for the boot, open and close, or like kicking underneath it to open it. There's nothing like that. It's very much manual, but you know, fine. All right, number 6. I like the general control center in the middle, right, which is a bit of an odd one, but it would have been easy for BMW to get rid of a lot of these buttons in the center console or on the gear stick and move it all to be digital. But this, for me, in my opinion, a very nice blend, a mix of digital controls and hardware controls. and I just love the central console area. I like the look of it, the materials that's been used on it. It's got this gloss plastic with, I don't know, just the aesthetic of it suits and works really well. But I also love the gear stick. Now, when I had my M4, and I'm going to do it the same with this car, I often stick it in the manual, but I'll use the stick shift to push and pull to change the gears up and down. I just prefer driving them that way to using the flappy paddles. And I'm just glad that this car still got that. I think they're beginning to phase out the stick shift for automatics. It doesn't make you feel like you're driving an automatic, not by any stretch, but it just gives you that extra element of control to make you feel you're actually changing the gears with your whole arm instead of just your fingers. So I appreciate that. I like that central control area. Right, number 7, the final like, which again is, I've only had it a week, so there'll be more as I continue to own the car and drive it around. But I appreciate the fact that the overall aesthetic of the dashboard is very similar to other BMWs, right? Yes, we bought the 2 Series, it's the cheaper of the M cars. They've cut corners in a lot of areas. However, the overall look of the dashboard is very similar to like an M to a 3 Series or a 4 Series. And I appreciate that, you know, you don't, I guess, you're not always reminded that you're in the cheaper car, is what I'm trying to say. It's a very similar experience. You're looking at the same screen. The LCI steering wheel is phenomenal. Love this. I wasn't a fan of the original non-LCI steering wheel. But yeah, the overall aesthetic of the dashboard's really nice. So yeah, that's a huge thing, right? It's just like number 7 on the list. That's a huge thing. It's the thing you interface with when you're driving the car. All right, now onto the dislikes. So, just before I get started, like a lot of these things nobody's going to care about. I do, but they're very minor. None of them are deal breakers. They're just things that I would have done better if I was designing the car, or if I would ask anyway. Right, number 1. I mentioned this in a previous video, the lack of interior conveniences. Now, as much as I do like the aesthetic of the dashboard, there is an obvious intentional omittance of interior conveniences. What I'm talking about is things like USB ports, chargers, storage space. You've got the 2 cup holders underneath the flap on the dashboard in front of the stick. You've got the center console area, which is just a hole. That's it. There's nothing else. The door pockets are really small because it's a small car. It's very narrow. So that's the space in there is starting to be compromised a little bit. But even the door pockets, it's like just molded plastic. There's no like rubber mat at the bottom of them. So if you put anything hard in there, like your wallet or your keys, they're just going to rattle around as the car's driving over bumps. So you take them out of the door pockets. There's nowhere else to put them really, unless you drop your keys in a cup holder, you know. So yeah, it's a bit of a disappointment, but it is what it is. It's the 2 Series, and just other things that other cars are beginning to adopt. Things like, you know, shopping bag hooks in the boot. Surely it's just a couple of pence to add a couple of shopping bag hooks in the boot, but like those quality of life things are huge. You know what I mean? Like, so your shopping bags aren't rolling around in the boot when you turn a corner. But like, why can't we have those? You know? So yeah, I would have preferred to have stuff like that, but not the end of the world. Same with like the seatbelt. You know, it's a proper reach to get the seatbelt in the 2 Series because it's coupe, and in the F-Gen 4 Series they had the retractable arms. Maybe they've got them in some of the G Series, I don't know, but this car absolutely 100% needs that retractable arm to push the seatbelt out so you can grab it easier. And also when you let go of the seatbelt, when you undo it, it just whips around it because it's got so far back to go, and it sort of whiplashes against the door card, and it will end up chipping it at some point because yeah, you can be careful, but there'll be times where you just forget. So yeah, it would have needed a retractable arm to grab the seatbelt, but you know, not deal breakers, but I think we're doing it on purpose to sort of not step on the toes of the higher models. Right, number 2, the driver's seat. I've read reports, seen videos from people who really love these seats. So these are just the Vinasca leather with the blue stitching. It's not the worst seat I've ever sat in by any stretch, but it's not, in my opinion, up to the standards of what an M car should have. Maybe it's to upsell you into the carbon buckets, perhaps, I don't know, but like, the quality of the leather isn't great. You know, the Vinasca, I've referred to Vinasca incorrectly in previous videos. So Vinasca is actually the quality of the leather, not just the colour. So it's like a fake leather with an embossed imprint into it. But I've had merino leather in the past, and merino leather is absolutely phenomenal. It's sublime, so comfortable, so soft, so just, you know, premium. Vinasca, it feels like a cheap gaming chair. That's what the feel of it is. but it's fine. The seat mechanisms are a bit limited as well. Like the height adjustable head on the seat only goes up and down by about that much for me. Anyway, I don't know what I'm doing wrong there, but again, it's early days. It just generally at the tilt and movement mechanisms is just very limited. It doesn't really go up very far, doesn't go down very far. It's got good lumbar support and good bolster support, so I'm happy with that. But generally, it's just not the best seat I've ever sat in. But it's not a deal breaker. It might be if I do a long distance drive and it gets on my tits, but you know, at the moment it's fine. Right, number 3, the gearbox. Again, not a deal breaker. Majority of people won't even care or notice, but this doesn't have a double clutch transmission. Previous M cars had the DCT. The gear shifts are noticeably slower, very noticeably slower in this car. You're talking max 0.3 of a second, but that's in DCT. It was absolutely instantaneous. The second the button activated, the gear was changed because it's got the next gear lined up ready to go. There's about a 0.2 to 0.3 to 0.4 ish second delay between activating the gear shift and the car actually changing gear. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't ruin the driving experience by any stretch. If you don't know any different, you'll love it, which is absolutely fine. But it's a slower gearbox than I've had in the past, which, you know, is what it is. Right, number 4, iDrive shortfalls. As much as I do love the iDrive, it's one of the best in-car entertainment systems I've ever had. There's some things that could be better. Like there's a severe lack of customization in the iDrive. Like the dials behind, or the LCD behind the steering wheel, there's no way to map the sport mode to the M buttons. So if you prefer that, you can't do that, right? You've got to go into the M Sport, then turn the wheel, hit track or sport mode to change the dials. I think these things can be shifted and fixed with software, but at this point BMW aren't going to do it, or they would have done it by now. But yeah, like being able to map different themes to the M buttons would have been nice. Speaking of themes, there's not many at all. It's like 3. You've got, I think, road, sport and track, which I've never used track yet, but you look at the likes of the latest Mercedes in-car entertainment user interface, and there's just so many different like themes and atmospheres and environments. You can have like different colors, different layouts to suit different moods. You don't have any of that in here. It's very, very fixed. It's very much, this is what you get. You're stuck with it. The color schemes, obviously the M colors, right? Blue, red, black, white, that's pretty much it. You can't change those color themes. So yeah, the customization is very limited. The help system inside the iDrive's not the best either. Not a deal breaker, but there's been times where I've been like, well, how does this work? How do I open up and shut the air vents? So you go to the help for the air vents, and it takes you to like the top level of the help support page, and it doesn't go to an area where you sort of jump from, if you know what I mean. It's structured really badly. There's not a lot of information in there that's relevant to what you're looking for help for. So that could be better, but it's still, what's there is better than nothing. So yeah, I think generally the iDrive has got some areas where it could have been a little bit better, and most of it's just to do with customization. Right, number 5, the Harmon Kardon system. The Harmon Kardon system in this car is shit. It really is. It's whack. It's an absolute pile of bot. I've had Harmon Kardon in the past, and this is not the same speaker system. It can't be. Like when it comes to bedding in the speakers or the acoustics of the car, like sound insulation, yes, that makes a difference in the sound, but not to the extent of how bad this is compared to previous generations. Now, I've improved the Harmon Kardon since I took delivery of the car. So I've went into my phone settings. I've got the Samsung Ultra S24, Galaxy S24 Ultra, and there's EQ settings within the phone, and obviously that's the source of the audio. So if you change around with the source settings, you can improve what actually gets piped into the car system, but it's still not very good. So yeah, it's a disappointment for me personally. Like, I was looking forward to having that amazing sound system again after having it in the past, but it's not lived up to the previous experiences. Right, this is another weird one for me. I'm going to try and replicate it. So I'm getting into dislikes now that wouldn't have otherwise made the list, but I wanted to add a couple more than 5. So I'm going to turn on the loud mode, and I'm in auto. And one of the things I don't like about it is when you're idling at say about 30 miles an hour, the note of the engine, I have no idea if this is getting picked up on camera, but I'm doing 25. That engine note, like you're hearing right now, I'm instinctively tuned to upshift at this point. That engine note seems really high, so I always feel like the car should be upshifting. Maybe we're only at 2,000 revs, so it's not too high, but I'm at 26 mile an hour, 27. It's still not shifting. 28. And now it's just shifted there, 31 mile an hour. So yeah, you can be cruising along at a fixed speed and the engine note just seems really high. It's not an issue if you've got the exhaust closed, but yeah, it might change over time as the car learns your driving style, if it even does that. But there's been times I've just been tooting along and I've been like, why is the car not upshifted? And I've wanted to do it myself, you know. It's just that note gets a bit loud and a bit too obnoxious at times at a constant noise level and frequency. But it's okay, it's not a big deal, it's just one thing I've picked up on. And the last one, if I really wrote this down, okay, yeah, I'll mention it, but it's not an issue. The augmented reality, the sat-nav system, as brilliant as that is, BMW, man, you've got the reflection of the center speaker cast right smack bang in the middle of the augmented reality sat-nav. Like, come on, it's a fixed speaker, it's a fixed camera. The reflection could have easily been removed through software, right? Maybe using AI algorithms or whatever to sort of reduce or eliminate that particular artifact. But the reflection of the speaker is very noticeable in the sat-nav. Come on, that could have been easily fixed. But there we go, right? I'm at 33. It's in 4th gear, and the engine note seems really high. Like that note is what I've been previously sort of. It's the point where I want to change gear myself, you know. But yeah, so overall, a few likes, a few dislikes. Absolutely nothing's a game changer at all. Nothing's a deal breaker. But those are just my early impressions. I've only had the car a week, so right. A lot of these things are very subjective. I'm not going into the realms of, oh, you know, the fuel economy is really bad. Obviously, the fuel economy is bad. Come on, you know, the fuel tank's small. It's only 50 litres. I've had the car a week. I've done 150 miles, and I've used 3/4 of a tank. And I've not driven fast. I can't because it's still in the running period. So yeah, but things like that, they're just par for the course with their MCOS. So I'm not going to mention those, but yeah, thanks for watching. I've no doubt there'll be lots of people disagreeing with a lot of the points or agreeing with some of the points. I don't know, but it's a subjective thing. I'm not wrong. You're not wrong. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Doodles.